I know people are still coming, but we're kind of running late right now, so I think I'm going to start it. So I wonder how many of you is actually first time join this communities event? Wow, that's a lot. So actually, let me give you guys a quick introduction about this community. So this is an Android developer community. We host the Android events monthly. So we try to do it twice a month and try to focus one event on more business-oriented and the other events more on technical-oriented topics. So this month, the first event is hosting at Facebook. And the next one we're going to hosting in Yahoo. So currently, this community actually is the world's largest Android community. We almost hit like 6,000 members right now. And we host an event with different partners, and we'll try to bring in the interesting topic regarding the Android. So please keep alert about the events put up on this community. You will see lots of interesting topic coming up. So first of all, I would like to thank you, Facebook, to hosting the event for our community and also providing foods and drinks. So I want to give a moment to the Facebook for the speech. So thank you, Bear.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Facebook. We're really excited to be hosting SV Android actually for the second time this year. We had a meetup earlier in January, which I think I saw at least a couple of you at. So tonight what we're going to be talking to you about is we have some speakers from Parse, also from Tapjoy, and at the end I will have a pretty exciting announcement for people who are here tonight. We have a special deal for you for Facebook ads. So without any further ado, I'd like to hand it off to Brad, who will be talking from Parse. Oh. Back to Nelson.
No, sorry. Before we started, we usually give a moment for people if you have any announcement to the community, like if you need any help for the developers or you have a jobs announcement, you can come up here. Anyone? Because I received a couple of emails from people like he's asking for. Okay. Oh, you have one.
So I'm Keithan Handgen. I work for Marmalade. We do cross-platform development environments. So I know Android folks have the easiest time going cross-platform if they want to expand their customer base. But you might want to look into Marmalade because one of the other things I know about Android people is they like free stuff. And we have a special program that's running right now where Microsoft and Marmalade are giving away free Marmalade licenses and 250 free Windows 8 phones. So if you're interested, come see me later. Thanks.
Thank you, Keith.
Hi, I'm Diana. Yeah, I just came to this because I'm kind of like looking to work on some cool projects with some developers. I just do design for fun, and I'm kind of working on like a do-it-yourself arts and crafts app. And I'm looking to make some new friends. So yeah, come and talk to me if you're interested.
Okay. Anyone more? So I actually have a couple of friends. They're actually looking for an engineer. So if you're interested, come and talk to me if you're looking for something interesting. Okay, after the event. Okay, so I'm gonna pass it to our first speaker, Brad from Parse.
Cool. Thank you. Okay. Good. All right. So. Hi, I'm Brad from Parse, and I'm going to start off by explaining what Parse is. Basically, Parse has sort of 5 components. Basically, all of them, though, are designed to make your mobile application development process easier. The idea is like all the things that every mobile app has to do, we would just want to make that sort of an all-in-one package so people don't have to keep reinventing the wheel. So the 5 pieces, the first one here is parse data. So basically a data storage model, save objects, fetch objects, query objects, that kind of stuff. And I'll be going into a lot of detail about this later in the examples. Parse social. User accounts, and integration with login services like Facebook or Twitter and stuff like that. Parse push, sending push notifications to devices. Really interesting ways to like target those pushes and collect analytics based on like what those pushes are driving in your app and stuff like that. Cloud code, way to move some of your business logic off the device, and so do stuff like validation, integration with third-party modules like third-party services like Stripe or Twilio or Mailgun or a whole bunch of them. Yeah, cloud code for that sort of logic, but all hosted in our JavaScript runtime, so you don't have to worry about hosting servers for that. And then web hosting for every app needs to have a website to promote it, so it's a full-service hosting platform for that. So that was sort of the quick rundown of what Parse is, quick and dirty. So let's get started using Parse. The main way to get started using Parse is with our quick start guide, which basically this is an Android meetup, so we're going to do an Android example here. Is that big enough? Can people read that? So the first time when you log in, you'll be prompted to create an app here. So if you create your Parse developer account, then you can come here and see this. So we just click create an app. We have to come up, with a name for it, and go. Back to the quick start guide. Oh, forgot that. So now so now here it prompts us to download a blank Android project with the Parse SDK. And then open it in your editor of development studio of choice. So basically, oops, I didn't unzip it here. There we go. So I unzipped it and import it into Android Studio. Then just click next for everything because all the defaults are good. Okay, so this is basically created, a simple Android app project, with the Parse SDK built in. If you have, an example app, an existing app already, you can, pick those options from our quick start guide, and it'll tell you, how to import the Parse SDK into your application's project. But for here, so I'll open the application class that it gave us. And, okay, so we'll see here that it's basically, we need to fill this in for the app that we just created through the website. So here we go. Just copy and paste this from the quick start guide. And compile it. Is that too small? Yeah. Let's see how this works. Is that worse or better? Okay, so so that's built. You okay?
Try Command plus.
Yeah, I don't think that works in this app.
Doesn't really. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well. How about that? Try that again.
The resolution's
Not going to work? Oh, okay.
Take it back to where it's happy.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So, well, okay. So sorry about the font size, but the idea is basically just fill in, your application key here, like the quick start guide says, and then start saving objects. So. So again, yeah, just copying and pasting the code from the quick start guide like it says here. And let's run it. So what I've done here is I've just created a parse object and saved it, and it's not imported. There we go. Okay, so what I've done here at the bottom is I've just, created a parse object here with the class name test object, and then just saved, a string on the foo field in the object. So it's just sort of, a simple key value setter, and then you tell it to save. So this is going to, when we run it, save that object up to parse for you. So we can see here, like, I'm testing the SDK here in the quick start guide. Nothing's happened yet. So now when I run the app, you should see the emulator come up here. Okay. So the app runs, and that's it. And so if we go back now and parse, we can see, hooray, it worked. So that's the quick way to get started, saving objects in parse. Pretty simple. So the next step is to, start retrieving that data. So right now, I've showed you, parse objects, sort of oversimplified it a bit there, but just to get going. So we see, parse objects can hold, key value data. So right now the key here is a string foo, and the value is, another string bar in this case. But the value can be sort of arbitrary structured data. It can be, integers, arrays, other parse objects and stuff like that. So it's a very sort of general structured data model, and yeah, you get to name your collections of objects here. So this is test object is the name of this one, and then we can see on the Parse website we can see that it was uploaded. So I'm going to go here to the dashboard for my app and look at the data that was uploaded. So here's the Meetup demo. And I'm going to look in the data browser, and we can see it created one user, one anonymous user here, just because that's the way the default was set up in the starter project. And then here it's created this test object class, and now it's got a field foo with the value bar. And then every time I run this app, The way this is done now, this is just in the application's onCreate method. It's just going to like create a new object and save it again. So if I change, you know, something here, you know, it'll run it again and, you know, save another object for us. Yeah, so there it ran, and we'll see this, you know, refresh this, and we'll see the, you know, the next object now got saved also. So that was sort of, you know, a quick intro. Next, we want to query this object, you know, and say, okay, I want to write, you know, some code that will fetch everything in that test object class, collection and tell me how many we have. The next thing we need to do here is import parse query. So the parse query class is what we use to, you know, to fetch objects. And here it's basically, you know, a way to build queries that, you know, look things up. You can put like criteria on it that say I want to match this value in this field. I want to be greater than, you know, some value in the field or anything. We're going to keep it simple here because we don't have a super huge amount of time. So here I'm declaring a parse query for a parse object. Query equals parse query parse object for the test object class. So this here basically says this is a query that's going to return parse objects, and it's going to fetch them from the test object collection that we created a minute ago. Okay. So we do this with, this is now going to, you know, find all of them. And we have to give it a callback. I gotta check my notes here. Okay, sorry. Did I do that right? No. Oh, it got interrupted there. Okay, so sorry about that. Okay, so what this is doing here is fetching, you know, all test objects that we have, and giving it a callback here that says when it's done, the done callback will fire, and we'll get a list of parse objects that came back with that. And it didn't add that. I don't know why that's not adding. Okay, so that's sort of the quick and dirty way to like start fetching objects, and and basically, here let's say string done d parse objects.size. Okay, so that'll pop up a little toast that says, how many objects did we get back if we run this? And let's see if what did I break there? Yes. Man, I totally broke the autocompletion on everything here. Sorry about that. Yeah. Oop. Okay. What is it? There we go. Sorry about that. Of course I am. Thank you. Great. Okay. So keep importing stuff. Parse. That's not right. What did I mess up here? That's why, because I did the wrong find here. Okay, sorry. Hazards of live coding here. Okay, so find in background here is what I meant to call. And so that basically does the fetch asynchronously and then fires a callback when it's done. Cool. So let's run it. Okay, so the idea here is it's now going to, run that and fetch it, and there, it says done, and it got 2. So that's the quick and dirty way to sort of like fetch objects from Parse. All right, so the next thing I want to do though is show you how to build this into some UI. So objects aren't that interesting unless you can actually display them. So this is a pretty new feature that we released last week, which is our parse query adapter. So I'm gonna open up the activity, parse starter project activity. So right now it's not doing anything, and I'm gonna open up the layout for it here. So what I'm going to do is add a list view to this main activity. And here, let's go. And let's call it list view. Oops. So the idea here is, now we've got this list view that we're going to want to populate with data from that query. So right now it's empty. But once we build the next step, it'll fill it in. Did you have a question? What's that?
Oh, that's the list view. That's an error inside.
Oh, thank you. What did I do now? Oh, right. Excellent. That should do something. Okay. So yeah, that's the UI preview there. I'll show you like how the list view is going to show up. So now, to use this, basically, we need to import the .parse query adapter. So again, this is so this is sort of the workhorse of the querying, basically. It'll fill in the list view. So I have to create one here for the test object class. Let me look up my notes again here. Yeah. Well, I'll just copy and paste this here because I'm going to screw it up if I don't. Okay. So the idea here is we've constructed, and I didn't import everything again, did I? Android.widget list view. There we go. Okay.
You called it query adapter, and then you called it adapter.
Yes, I did. Thank you. And there's all sorts of other screw-ups here. It takes the context. There we go. So, okay. Once this all gets working. Okay, so we construct parse query adapter, name it correctly, thank you. And then give it the context and the name of the class we're querying. And then we say, okay, it's got a text key and an image key, and we want 10 objects per page. And so this will run in the emulator here. And you can see it filled it in with the data that we had in there. And every time we run this application, the application on create is creating another object, so it'll keep getting more and more. So that's the basic one. You can see, though, that I had this image field here that is unused right now. So I'm going to do a little trick here in the data browser. So I'm going to add a new column from the data browser UI, which is a lot of fun, and call it image. So that matches what I had already built into the query. And then I'm going to start uploading files to attach to these objects. So there's one. Here's another one. So those are uploaded now. Yeah, let's do another word, parse Hector, because he's awesome. Okay, so I've uploaded some data in this image field now. And if I run it again, all that data should just show up. What is the alarms coming up for? So, and as you can see, like it filled in the images that I uploaded there into the list view. So, so that's the quick and dirty demo of how to use, a simple Parse app to like upload data and save data and fetch it and shove it into a UI. So I think it's about all the time I have for this. So are there any questions?
Can you define your own list item?
Well, yeah, you can define your own list adapters to list items to be returned from the list adapter.
How does that match with the image you accept? So like
yeah. Yeah, so basically, I guess to repeat the question, so yeah, for the recording.
So my question is like, can we define our own customized this item, and also like how does the item be matched to the item I defined? For example, like if I want to be image in the center instead of on the left corner.
Yeah.
So how does those all be matched up?
Yeah. Okay. So the default parse query adapter, as it is, just loads everything in that class in the order it was created. So that's how it's matched to the item ID in there is creation order. And the default list item has a single image field and a single text field. And so in our Android guide on the website, basically, actually if you're going through the quick start guide, I can show you. So if you go through the quick start guide, you go through this test SDK, you saved your first object. Right here, dive into our docs, right here at the bottom is the Android guide. That has details about how to customize the list item so that you can return, whatever structured data you have. It's in the UI section here, user interface. So that's all the details about how to fully customize this for whatever your data architecture is. Another question?
Hey, good demo. I have a couple of questions. One is, how good the platform is really supporting the offline mode operations?
Number
two is, okay, I'm just imagining how you are placed with your particular platform for hybrid applications. So this is two questions,
yeah. So what exactly do you mean about hybrid applications? Could you clarify that?
Cross-platform.
Cross-platform, okay. Yeah, so, okay, so for the first question, it was easy to answer and I forgot what the question was.
Offline mode.
Oh, offline mode. So we have caching policies in the parse query classes that can say, cache. So when you're fetching a query, it'll look in the cache first and then look in the network for it. And basically, if you handle that correctly in setting up your queries, it can mostly work. It's still tricky. I mean, it's just you have to write your application to be offline aware. It's not fully transparent. But like, yeah, that's a big part that we're going to be trying to improve is making that easier for developers to deliver. Because yeah, we do have features there to help support it. Okay, so cross-platform, we have SDKs for, all the platforms that we can. We're working as fast as we can on more platforms. So we have an iOS SDK, we have a JavaScript SDK, we have a .NET SDK, Android, naturally. So you can just use the same API keys that we pasted from the Quick Start. They're similar API keys for the other platforms, and if you go through the Quick Start guide for those platforms, it'll show you how to do that on the other apps. And then the data will just be shared across all your apps naturally. And I didn't go into like user login and stuff like that, but all those users will then have user accounts that work across all your apps too, if they're set up with the right API keys. So I hope that answers your question. Yes?
Yeah, so for cross-platform, basically the data will be kind of saved in your cloud and can be used by any device or Android device app or iOS app. And
yes.
It's cross-platform. And also, like, how do you move from, like, let's say, development environment into the production?
Yeah, that's a very common request is having a development app. So basically, the way I do it in my apps is I don't put the keys right in the source code. I put them in a resource, and so then when I build my app, my Android app, it just selects which resource file it's building with, and then those keys get used. So you can have two apps on the Parse platform that you can switch keys at build time of your app, and that sort of works well for me. It's not like the easiest process. You have to understand how to customize resources in your Android app, but it works pretty well for what I've needed. And then obviously the details vary for other platforms about how to substitute that in. But yeah, but the basic idea is the same. You have multiple sets of API keys for a development version of your app and for a production version of your app, and yeah, it works. And they can share the same data schema naturally. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, just a follow-up questions. Yeah. So what about these? I mean, lots of apps have seeded data initially.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? Like, how do we send the data over to Parse initially?
Yeah. So we have a data import system where you can upload data in. I think we accept CSV formatted data and JSON formatted data. So that's sort of a good way for bulk export. We've also had people that will write sort of Node.js script against our JavaScript SDK, and that can import sort of data from whatever format you want. Node.js is sort of the easiest sort of way to get a command line that operates against a Parse SDK. So that's what some people have used. Cool.
Okay, just a follow-up question.
Mm-hmm.
Disclaimer, I'm not putting you in a situation, but I'm going to ask you a real thing, whatever has happened to me. So when I really recommend this platform for one of my B2B customers, where which they have too much data available in the cloud and they end up building something which is going to be like say just reports on their mobile applications. I was trying to evaluate the platform. So the exact feedback whatever I got from those guys is Parse is good for doing some POCs or making your hands dirty, but always it is very risky to move into a production mode with this platform. Okay, so what is your take on it, number one? Number two is, if that is what, if I'm going to hear from somebody from the future, what is the real value proposition this platform is going to give for developers?
Yeah. So the question is that the customer didn't believe that they were not convinced that it could scale. Yeah. So I mean, we have 100,000 apps on our platform, and a lot of those have, I think a couple of them have over 10 million users. So I mean, it's one of those things where, yeah, we will scale your app with its usage. At the same time, like, it's also possible to write your app, such that every user, that uses your app is issuing 10 million queries from their phone. And like, if you write your app that way, it's not going to scale. So we try to solve that problem for you as much as we can, and we try to publish blog posts about best practices of how to make your app efficient and scalable. And hopefully that's doing some good for our developer community. Yeah, I think it's a tough problem, and we try to help our developers solve it as best we can, basically. And so yeah, blog.parse.com, I'll plug this right now, is where we post all those technical blog posts and product announcements and stuff like that. So cool. Pricing. Yeah. Okay. So the question is just what is our pricing? So we have a free tier. The basic plans are basically free usage, I think, up to 1 million 1 million API requests a month. And push notifications. 1 million pushes a month. So 1 million API requests and 1 million pushes a month are in our basic tier, and that's free. Beyond that, you can either pay per API request or per push on overages, or you can upgrade to our Pro plan, which I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but it's 2 million. $200 for 15 million API requests and pushes also. Yeah. So that's the Pro plan. And then beyond that, we also have an enterprise plan, which is $1,000 a month, I think. A la carte. Okay, sorry. Never mind. So those have to be negotiated a la carte for what your particular app's usage are. And we will work with you to sort of help it scale better also. Basically, based on what your particular app's needs are, we'll come up with different pricing for that. And I think that's it for my time. Oh, yeah.
I actually wanted to say some things that you haven't covered.
Oh, yeah.
So, the last thing I was doing as an Android person before I went to the company I talked about earlier was I was doing a Parse application with Android.
Yeah.
And there were like 3 things that we really, really liked about it. So he sort of alluded to how easy it is to build structures up of your data. And the second thing is it's really, really fault tolerant. You can mess up your data really easy with this stuff, but when you do your queries, it's very forgiving. We never had any crashes or stuff like that. And then the really best thing that we found out about it, it was one of the easiest ways to do notifications and do those pushes. Yeah. And so we love Parse.
Cool. Well, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry I had to rush through it and couldn't go into like all kinds of detail about that, but yeah, thank you for that. So, cool. All right. Next up.
Thank you, Paul. Great presentation.